soft skills for Tier-1 product quality engineers in 2025 and beyond by me. And before I go to the next slide, I'd say that a lot of attention is being given or accorded to hard skills, right? You always hear about use this tool, do this programming language, and do this and that, and that seems to be the thing that takes up the biggest airtime online, and everywhere QA is being talked about. But soft skills is rarely talked about. And by the end of this presentation, I'm hoping that I'm able to convince you to, as a person, pay more attention to soft skills, and as a community, talk more about soft skills. I just run through who I am, and Ela's done a good job on that, so I don't think I need to read all of this. But while you are reading that, you can go to my website, which is chibuzorobilom.com, or search for Chibuzor Obilom on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and I think that's the name I use across all social media. So there's been an evolution of the QA role, and which is even the apogee or the crux of this conference, and which is the term product quality engineers, right? We've had several names. We've had names like software tester, QA tester, QA analyst, QA engineer, quality analyst, software development, developer in tests, SDETs, all of these names. But the truth is that these names and how they've come about is the testament and the evidence of the evolution of the role. We used to be the people who had the sole responsibility for quality, but now you can hear things like shared responsibility, you can hear things like shift left, and then came the DevOps movement, right? DevOps movement came with a new perspective on testing, and then created more opportunities for testers. So these days you hear things like test ops, you hear things like QA ops, and then came the automated testing, which further stretched testing as a profession and as a role, and also expanded it before now, maybe like 15 years ago, when automated testing wasn't a thing, or 20 years ago, it was different. But then automated testing also added to that evolution. These days, we now have QA as a key component, right, of development from start to finish, working across the entire process. And I just like to chip in here, right? There are teams that, and if you're a PM here or not a QA here, where they bring QAs at the tail end of the process. You are so 2000s, you are so 2000s, you are so 2010. In 2025, QAs are interested, should be involved, add value, and play a key role in the development process from start to finish. The modern QA is now a T-shaped role, right? So you are no more just a QA specialist or whatever, right? And I like the question that came before my session, where Jacqueline asked the PM and QA about learning each other's roles, right? As a modern QA, you are to know a bit of all other things. So you can't just be only an expert in QA. If we go to the keynote where Ibironke was talking about the business value, right? You cannot know about the business value if you are not interested in business. You just be this person who is an eye-shaped professional. You are deep in QA. You only know QA from beginning to the end. You don't know any other thing. That is not a good place to be. And the modern QA is also expected to apply their deep expertise and experience to deliver their core remits and also apply a wider contextual knowledge across architecture and development. I went ahead. So who is a top tier or tier 1 product quality engineer? It's not just a technical expert, but also a strategic thinker who drives excellence across the product lifecycle. Their contributions are vital to ensuring customer satisfaction, brand reputation, and long-term business success. You can see business coming in. So you're not just only doing QA. You are thinking wide. You are thinking system. You are thinking across. The top-tier product quality engineer stands out from others in the field due to their exceptional skills, mindset, and ability to deliver results that go beyond standard expectations. And you can see that mindset is emboldened, and underlined. So back to soft skills. Peggy Klaus, who is on the right, said sometime that 75% of long-term job success depends on people's skills, while only 25% depends on technical knowledge. And we can sort of extrapolate people here and replace it with soft skills, because people skills is one of the soft skills. And we have communication, prioritization, collaboration, listening, problem solving, time management, empathy, intuition, perseverance, facilitation, decision making, stress resistance, knowledge sharing, continuous learning, etc. Like the soft skills we are supposed to know and master is quite a lot and can fill this page. And in fact, my recent realization is that because of the way we talk about hard skills and all that, the importance of soft skills and the time when we wake up to soft skills now gives us a Herculean task to master soft skills for the rest of our careers. So you've gone to school, university, you spent 4 years, you've learned skills, and then you come out and you start to work, and then maybe the first 4 years or the first 5 years or the first 10 years you have been focusing on hard skills. The day you wake up to soft skills and the day you dive into the pool or the ocean of soft skills, you find out that for you to keep up pace with mastering soft skills is going to be as intense as having weekly and bi-weekly reviews, because it's a lot. And because you've not learned it over the time, you now have to learn on the job, in real life situation, in production. There's no test environment. And so it's going to require a lot from you to learn it while on the job and master it. If you look at this inverted pyramid, you see that a newbie or or a mid-level, or and all that, you are focused, your attention is on, comma, you are graded on, comma, you get results from technical focus. It's about the technicality of things. And when you step up to the intermediate, it's about process involvement. And when you become a leader, it's about strategic influence. And why I show this is to show you the dilution of the focus on hard skills as you go up. So it means that soft skill is important to you as you go up, as you grow, and also soft skills is important to you if you want to be a tier 1 product quality engineer. So let's dive in. Before we dive in, I'm going to show us 7 things that I think we need to focus on, right? And I purposely did not do an outline of them on the slides because I wanted to keep us all guessing. Although I had gone ahead to show the first one before making it stating this caveat, but that's fine. Keeping records, right, is the first one. You need to maintain a personal system to capture insights and lessons learned. And the thing is this, we work week in, week out, trying to meet targets, trying to beat deadlines, and we mostly forget to keep records. Yeah, primarily your work forces you to keep records of your testing, but it needs to go beyond that, right? And you need to ask yourself questions. By asking yourself these questions, which I've outlined on each slide, you are moving closer to getting started on these 7 things. And the first one here is your documentation up to date and accurate? How do you use record keeping to support collaboration within and outside your team? Do you have a personal knowledge management system? And in one of my other talks, PKM features there. You can always browse the internet for PKM, personal knowledge system, and you'd get a lot. It's a universe of a thing, PKM, where you have a system of managing what you learn, what you found, lessons you've learned, courses you've taken, everything in one place with the hope that you convert all of this to something tangible. You need to learn influence. You need to build trust and gain buy-in from your colleagues and stakeholders. You're a QA person, or you're a product quality engineer, or you're in product quality, and you can't convince or influence your company to go in a certain direction, right? So for you to be a top tier product quality engineer, you need to learn influence. And you need to ask yourself these questions. How can QA communicate quality importance to stakeholders? What strategies influence your company culture? How can you build team relationships? What challenges are you facing in influencing others? When you ask yourself these questions, you look for answers. You look for answers from your peers, you look for answers from your mentors, look for answers from your leads or leaders, and also from the internet. You need to think systems. You need to understand your company's processes and how every part contributes to overall quality. So to play a scenario, right? Most times we just focus on our jobs as QAs. We don't know how the company makes money. We don't know what other teams do. For example, if I also track back to the keynotes, where you're talking about customer service tickets and how much it costs, the person who can think in line with the keynotes is somebody who's thinking systems. So you ask yourself, how does your company make or lose money? What are the major levers? How does QA fit into this whole system? The whole system of how the company works. And how can you optimize the system in your own QA way? I didn't want to say little way, because QA can never be little. What are the key interfaces with other departments? How do each department, how do they talk to each other? How do they work with each other? Are you aware of the moving parts in your company? Are you aware of the moving parts in your company? Because you cannot affect it. They say what's not measured cannot be improved. If you're not aware, you can't even measure. So if you're not aware of how your company works or how your industry works, so for example, you're in fintech, you need to know how money moves, both from the technical side and from the operations side. You need to master domains. Yeah, you notice that each slide leads to the next slide in a certain way. You need to deepen your knowledge of your industry and product, and you need to stay updated on trends. And ask yourself, how much do you know about the domain your company plays in? Right? And if it's a very big company, it's possible that you have teams or squads that play in different domains. What are the trends and patterns in your company's niche and industry? Right? So you can't be in crypto or Web3 or digital assets and not know that the SEC has brought back cryptocurrency as digital assets in Nigeria. Right? You can't be in fintech and not know what the CBN is, circulars that CBN is publishing. What are the patterns in your company's industry and niche? And you ask yourself, how deep is your domain knowledge? The next is to take responsibility. You need to own quality outcomes. Even so don't just leave that responsibility to your team lead or to your manager. You have to own quality outcomes, and you have to be ready to address issues head on from start to finish, not patches here and there and not really solving the problem, and then we just rub our heads or just rub a magic lamp or just touch things here and there without solving the issues or resolving the issues. Yeah. So the questions are, what does taking responsibility mean to you in your team, in your context? And how do you ensure accountability? How do you handle critical bugs? How do you balance quality with deadlines? So you can't say, okay, they're giving us a short deadline or a timeline to deliver on quality, and then I don't care. The work, what must be done must be done. No. How can you balance it? And there are ways to balance it, right? What mechanisms ensure quality is everyone's responsibility? So this is both for a team lead or a manager. Ask that question. You need to find the mechanisms that ensure quality is everyone's responsibility in your team and across the company, right? You need to solve problems, identify root causes, and prioritize solving critical challenges. Don't just say, I've reported the bug and it's for the devs to do. You need to find out what they do. What problems? You need to find out what they do. Ask yourself, what problems have you actually solved as a staff, as an employee, as a career person? What problems have you solved? Do you know the company and the problems your company is facing? How can QA contribute to solutions to these problems, rather? How can QA solve any of your company's problems? That's how you should be thinking, to solve problems. And then you need to make impact. I'll still go back to the keynotes, and it's all about impact. QA is not just a business, or QA is just in the business of just working every day, Monday to Friday or Saturday, and just work and work and work without thinking about impact. You need to be aware that there's impact to be made. You need to believe that it's possible for QA to make impact. You need to think about impact, and then you need to go ahead to make that impact. You need to be able to measure your contributions and ensure your work aligns with business goals. Does your work have any impact on your team or your company? How do you measure and communicate QA impact? Are you and your team aligned with the company's goals? Is your work contributing to the company's goals and or solving the problems it grapples with? And I'll close with this, right? Curiosity is the wick in the candle of learning, by William Arthur Ward. Thank you.